Good morning. We will give just a moment to clear the waiting room and make sure that folks have connected to audio. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are providing testimony before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Thursday, May 1st, 2025. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters for this morning's hearing, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please do make sure that your audio and visuals are working properly if you are presenting before the board this morning. This morning's hearing consists of an informational hearing, which will be followed immediately by the board's regularly scheduled voting hearing. For the informational hearing, the board is in receipt of a petition from 25 residents about a particular licensee. A representative for the petitioner will have the opportunity to present the case to the board. Licensee will have the chance to respond, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. Members of the public may be allowed to provide additional testimony at the chair's discretion if time allows. Once the board moves into its voting hearing, there will be no additional testimony accepted. The informational hearing, the licensee in question is Densinco LLC, doing business as Borachito, the Garrett, Boston, located at 70 Pier 4 Boulevard. This is an informational hearing regarding the licensee's operational procedures, including noise mitigation, hours of operation, and crowd control, upon receipt of a resident's petition pursuant to Board's Rule 1.19b, Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 23, and Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Attorney Quilty,
Sorry, Dennis is muted, but Dennis Quilty, myself, Mackenzie Gleason.
Yeah, just did it. Sorry about that. Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee this morning. With us, Gavin Mosley, who's the owner-operator, and members of his staff, Hope Murphy, as well as representatives of the property owner and other residents of the area. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much all for being with us. Who is present on behalf of the petitioners?
Good morning. Excuse me, Attorney Matthew Gaines. I represent the condo association in which the petitioners reside. And some of the petitioners are here as well.
Great, thank you. It is the board's understanding that you are here representing the condo association, that's correct?
Correct, yes.
Great, then we will take your presentation as their representation. We'll begin with you, Attorney Gaines, to please outline the case to be presented to the board.
Thank you very much. As I said, it's Matthew Gaines. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Marcus Arrico, Emmer and Brooks, and I represent the 133 and 135 Seaport Residential Condominium Associations, better known as Echelon Seaport. Excuse me, the restaurant in question, Borachito, is on the first floor of these residential buildings. And the issues of excessive noise from this restaurant has been going on for probably over 18 months at this point. Over the past several months, the condo association has tried to address this issue directly with the restaurant and their ownership, but unfortunately, those efforts have not been productive, and there's been no noticeable improvements. The restaurant was issued 2 violations in the past couple of months, but obviously that wasn't enough to stop the problem, as over the past few weeks, it's actually as bad as ever, if not worse. As you well are aware, that the city's ordinance, noise can't exceed 70 decibels at any time and cannot exceed 50 decibels after 11 p.m. About a month ago, the condominium installed decibel readers. One was near the restaurant and the other was on the fifth floor above the restaurant. The data from these readers, which we're happy to provide if you'd like, shows regular noise peaks exceeding the limits of 50 decibels after 11 o'clock, 11 p.m., particularly bad between 1 and 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. However, apparently it's not just limited to Fridays and Saturdays, as I was told just yesterday, that as recently as a couple of days ago, on Tuesday of this week, many residents called the police because there was loud music that could be heard in units up at the fifth floor, and there were screaming patrons, and this was all at 1 a.m. in the morning on a Tuesday. This is really unacceptable. We would note that other nearby restaurants and bars in the area have closing times that are much earlier, 11 o'clock, 11:30, and midnight, respectively, for some of the other bars in the area. And these establishments are still very successful, even though they close earlier. And one of the big problems with the fact that Borrachito has a 2 a.m. closing time is that it's really the only bar in the area that does. So when the folks leave these other establishments at 11, 11:30, or midnight, they then go down to Borrachito, and that's when everyone starts congregating outside and the noise gets bad. I suspect that the owner or their attorney today will tell you that things are improving with the changes they've made, but that's just simply not the case. The efforts the restaurant has taken to date to try to deal with this issue has not generated any noticeable improvements. And frankly, at this point, given that they've tried, we don't really think that any further attempts by the restaurant will yield acceptable results. Therefore, on behalf of my client, we request that the licensing board take appropriate steps to enforce compliance of the regulations. And more importantly, what the real ask is that given that further efforts to mitigate the noise is clearly not going to be fruitful, we request that the licensing board adjust the operating hours such that the closing hours for Borrachito are more in line with the surrounding establishments, and that we would propose a closing time of 11 p.m. For Borrachito. I appreciate the time today, and that's all I have to say. I don't know if you want to hear from some of the residents next, or I'll defer to you.
Thank you,
Do we have a
Chairman.
chance to respond, or?
Oh, absolutely. Chairman, do you have questions specifically for Attorney Gaines, or would you like to hear from the licensee to respond first?
I'm just going to state that it's my understanding that Attorney Gaines is representing the condo owners. So I don't know if I don't have any other questions, or I don't see a need at this point for individual condo owners to testify.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that it might be helpful at least to hear from one or two, because they can add a more personal touch, because they're the ones that are experiencing it as opposed to me. I obviously don't live there. I can tell you.
Okay, we're just going to try to move forward. We'll get to the additional testimony after.
Thank you, Attorney Quilty, if you would like to respond on behalf of the licensee.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Green. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thanks for the opportunity to respond today. Excuse me. I think there are a couple of just housekeeping things to clear up. To my knowledge, I think there may have been something issued, but I've only seen it in writing. We've had one violation hearing, to my knowledge, which concerned overcrowding and not anything else. I'm not aware. Well, I did see in some memo somewhere among the many pieces of paper leading up to today. Apparently, there's been a second notice with the board. I'm not in receipt of it, so I'm not aware of whatever a second violation is. To my knowledge, one, which has been heard, and that's it. And this licensee doesn't have a history of violations, as the board knows. Number two, I didn't represent all of these places, but I represent a lot of them. Most, if not all, of the restaurants and operations in the Seaport have 2 a.m. licenses. What those businesses do with their operating hours is, of course, up to them, but it's not true that everybody else has closing hours of midnight. Many of the places referenced, Savor, for example, is 2 a.m. Many of the other places, as the board knows, have 2 a.m. licenses. Some places stay open, some don't. The major thrust that we'd like to put before you today is that all we're looking for is due process here. We have engaged the residents and owners and the neighborhood association and District Councilor Flynn's office and the mayor's office over many, many weeks of meetings on-site, off-site, over Zoom, over the telephone, in person, This, as far as we were concerned and are concerned, is a continuing process. We have spent time, effort, and money to do everything we can do to begin to try to address these issues. We understand them. We do not think that everything that's going on in and around this building is the responsibility of one licensee in an area surrounded by licensees. But we understand that we are responsible for our premises, and we have spent a great deal of time working with folks in this building to resolve issues. We've had meetings on site wherein we were investigating sound leakage, investigating locations where proper sound insulation wasn't installed, not on behalf of my client, but on behalf of the building itself. We are a small cog here in this building, but we agreed to meet, to go over this area, and to spend money to better soundproof the areas above us, which would help buffer anything coming from our space. We've spent money on additional security, which we were asked to do. We have spent time and effort meeting with folks to try to get a better understanding of what the issues are and how we can begin to address them. This isn't something that we have simply ignored. There have to be 10 meetings between Zoom, in-person, and phone meetings, the most recent of which was last Monday, sponsored by Councillor Flynn. We've attended all of them. We've gone to see people, we've answered questions, we've told them what we can do. Some of these problems are beyond us. Some of the problems with noise outside this building have to do with drop-offs and pickups and food deliveries and Uber pickups and Uber drop-offs, which we've been working with the city of Boston on trying to resolve where and how we can get people out of this building properly and quietly at closing time. It's not easy. Mr. Sippis, who I hope is here with us, who represents WS Development, who are the developers of the entire Seaport Square, has personally taken the responsibility of working with Transportation Department and other city departments to try to help resolve this issue. We are not just looking the other way here. We're doing everything we can do reasonably to help make these issues dissipate and go away to the extent we can. We only want the opportunity to continue doing that. We want the opportunity to be treated fairly. One violation in the entire time they've been open, one. And it had nothing to do with noise. Again, to me, it's due process. Give us an opportunity here. We're in the middle of meeting with these folks and trying to resolve issues. I thought a very interesting matter in doing the math. It appears that this petition was posted in the building for over a month, and 16 out of 730 units signed on to this petition. 16. It's about 2 or 3% of the building. This is by no means a building-wide issue. This is an issue that for some reason affects, there are people on the highest levels of the building that are affected. We're trying desperately to figure out how it is that any noise from our establishment can travel that distance. We're doing what we can. We're working with people, we're helping, we're doing what we can do, and we want to continue doing that. We fully understand that we are responsible. We have to be responsible operators, and we're trying to do just that. I do want to say that on the one point of last Tuesday, Tuesday nights are not a particularly busy night at this establishment, nor I would guess are in most establishments around the city. Our staff people, Hope Murphy, who's with us today, can testify that on that night, at that time, there were approximately 25 patrons in the space. We would submit that whatever noise was going on last Tuesday night did not come from Borachito. There was some reference to the 5th floor in one of the complaints. We don't know, but 25 people in a capacity of 4 or 5 times that isn't going to cause that kind of an issue. And she was there, she was present. It didn't happen from our establishment. I mean, I wish we had information on every single incident. We don't. On that one, we do, because it was pointed out specifically. And Hope would testify before you today under oath that she was there. There were no more than 25 patrons in the place at the time in question. It could not have happened the noise couldn't have come from Borachito. Not possible. I would like at the appropriate time to ask the board to allow Mr. Mosley, who's the owner operator, to address the board, but I don't really have a sense of how you want this scheduled, so I'll stand back and
Yep.
let you tell us.
Thank you, Attorney Quilty. Chairman Joyce, would you like to hear from Mr. Mosley now, or would you like to move to questions for the licensee or the representatives of the petition?
Well, I just have a couple of statements, questions right now for those who have testified already. This is the due process. We received a petition with 25 signatures, which triggered an informational hearing, and that is why we are here today. That being said, the residents should know we do not have additional violations for this licensee. We have one, and that was for crowd control and staff monitoring, which are very important things that we do not take lightly. And at that hearing, the licensee committed to having additional staff and to make sure the lines are monitored outside. Noise takes a lot of noise can come in the form of people talking outside, Uber drivers idling outside, traditional noise that you hear from that you get from an entertainment license, whether it's background noise or live music. And at that hearing in February, the licensee was committed to doing additional sound mitigation. So that is due process too. As far as the residents are concerned, we need to give this licensee an opportunity to put the appropriate sound mitigation tools in place. Again, this is I will call it a neighborhood in the city that the city wants to see activated by both residents and places to gather, like Borrachito. So we need to find a way to that both can work together and live in harmony. This isn't the only neighborhood that we deal with. There's other parts of the city too that have similar issues, and this is the first step in a process. So that's what I'm going to state right now. This is due process. So I appreciate the fact that people might think that this isn't happening fast enough. I appreciate the fact that people think it's happening way too fast, but we're doing what we are, supposed to do here. So with that, I don't know who else is interested in testifying. Danny, I don't know if you have a list or people have signed up, but before we get to actual residents, I think we should hear from the managers of the licensed premise. And if anyone from WS is here who wishes to testify.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I know Mr. Sipp has had to leave for an engagement out of his office. I don't know whether he's still with us, but if he is, I would certainly ask you to allow him to speak because he does have to leave.
I do see Mr. Sipp is with us. He's raising his hand. I also know that Mr. Mosley wanted to speak, so I don't know which of you would like to go first. Mr. Sipp,
Just because Mr. Sipp has to leave.
Great. Mr. Sipp is
Yanni, why don't you go, Yanni?
Sure. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Attorney Green, Chair Joyce, board members. Yanni Sippis with WS Development. We are the owner of the commercial unit at the Echelon Complex. The Echelon Complex is a large mixed-use complex within a large mixed-use neighborhood, the Seaport District. We've been working on the Seaport Square project, of which the Echelon is a part since 2007, and are striving to make this neighborhood an incredibly vibrant, beautiful, active, mixed-use regional destination for people to come and live and work and enjoy and visit. And this is something we and our partners in government have been working on for many years. So we appreciate the consideration this morning. I would just like to echo what Attorney Quilty has said about this, the work of developing a mixed-use neighborhood in which all of the component uses and parts can work together and live together in harmony is a journey. It's a marathon. And, we've worked very closely with our colleagues in city government. We've worked very closely with our partners in the neighborhood, especially the Seaport Neighborhood Association, which has emerged in recent years as a wonderful sort of organizing factor for the residential uses in the neighborhood. And we're trying lots of new things. Most recently, we've been working with the Transportation Department around geofencing of Ubers and Lyfts. We've made some proposals to the Streets Cabinet to review options for example, moving TNC activity away from the residential entrances, especially at certain hours. That proposal is currently under consideration, and there's a meeting in a couple of weeks to chat about it. So I think the characterization that Attorney Quilty has set forth of this being an evolution, this being a journey in trying to balance the interests of all of the different uses in the neighborhood is accurate. And we appreciate the board's consideration as we all work together to try to achieve that. The only other thing I would add is that specific to the Echelon complex, and I understand that that Attorney Gaines, could you just clarify who exactly you're representing? Are you representing the Echelon condominium complex as a whole or the Tower 2 primary condominium? I couldn't quite tell.
Sure, as I said in my opening remarks, I represent the 133 and 135 Seaport Residential Condominium Associations.
Okay, so two of the six components within the Echelon complex. There are six components. I appreciate that clarification. There are condominium documents that govern the complex that protect the rights of all of the different unit owners in the Echelon complex, and we suggest that it may be appropriate for the board to simply defer to the condominium documents, the dispute resolution procedures that exist within those condominium documents, recognizing that this is a private matter by and between private condominium owners. But we appreciate the consideration. We're all working hard with other constituents in the neighborhood and within the Echelon mixed-use complex to address, some of the concerns that have been raised. And we look forward to continuing to do so. So thank you very much for the time. We really appreciate everybody's consideration. Thanks, Madam Chair. Thank you, Attorney Green and board members.
Thank you, Mr. Zippis. I do want to give Mr. Mosley a chance to speak as well, but I know we had a hand raised a moment ago from Sydney from Councillor Flynn's office. If you're still with us, I don't know if there was anything you would like to add before we hear from Mr. Mosley and then move to questions from the board.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Sydney. I'm from Councillor Flynn's office. Please note, over the last several weeks, the councillor has received significant feedback from residents and met with neighbors nearby to discuss longstanding quality of life issues. These include loud music, consistent disturbances from loud patrons after 1 a.m., crowd control efforts pushing the existing issues to B Street or nearby courtyards, alcohol use in line, and the use of DJ each weekend. As a result of the consistent feedback from neighbors, Councillor Flynn is respectfully requesting that the board take corrective action to help address these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Sydney. And thank you to the councillor. So Attorney Quilty, Mr. Mosley, if there's anything additional you'd like to add for the board.
Just would like Mr. Mosley to have the opportunity to address the board.
Good morning, Gavin Mosley here. Just to piggyback on Dennis's thoughts, there has been some progress. This is a long-standing issue, one that we are not running away from. I've owned with my team bars and restaurants in New York for over a decade now. So the sound and the line control and the relationship between the tenant and the residents is something I'm not unfamiliar with. I'm born and raised in Jamaica Plain. I always wanted to come to Seaport. And as a Black-owned business here, one of a few, I take pride in that. And I say that because I want to remain here. I want to open more businesses here. And so it's very important to me, and I'm taking this very seriously. I think as Yanni and Dennis outlined, I think the majority of people do not have an issue here. The minority is making a big loud statement. And so that is not to undermine, because every single person needs a good night's sleep, and I care about that. I embrace and respect the community here. And so I am doubling down on my commitment to do more and compromise. My fear is that some of the tenants just do not want us to exist. And that is a difficult situation, because I want to continue conversations and discussions and come to compromises that are mutually beneficial. Both might sting a little bit, but I want to remain here for a number of years. There are some residents that come down and cause more disturbance. We had one woman come down and yell at my staff and call me names. And I'm not going to mention who that is, because I think it's counterintuitive to the productivity that I want to do here. And so we've had people at that moment get very scared. And so another person came down and put a video in front of everyone's face in line. No one likes that, and that causes disturbance. And so I want to let the board know and the residents know that I am here, not running away from this. I want to do more, and I hope that you all collectively do more, and we can do so in a respectful manner. And thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley. I do see a hand raised before we move to any general testimony. I want to see if the Chairman Joyce and members of the board have any questions for the licensee or the petitioners.
I just have a question for you, Attorney Quilty. The last time we talked in February, you walked me through the sound mitigation and the investments that your team was putting into this space, and I knew it was going to take time. I just wanted a status update on that sound mitigation, and also I think we requested a written staff and security plan just to have on file. So just a status update on those two things.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, I'm sorry, I've got this dry cough. I apologize. We, again, as a result of one of the meetings, I think well before your February hearing, we were on site. I mean, the ownership and their sound engineers were on site. There's space just above us that's called amenity space, and it was created in the development of the building for just this reason, to keep a buffer between the business levels at the ground and first floor and the residential above. And apparently within that area, there were areas that were not addressed properly at the build out time for sound mitigation. So that was reviewed by our sound engineers, and a plan was put into place to resolve those issues. I'm sorry, we apparently did not provide the appropriate follow through on that. We'll be happy to do that. But that too is a continuing job, if you will. If you fill a hole over here and it doesn't stop it over somewhere else, it takes time to figure out exactly where everything's coming from and going to.
I think our conversation was focusing on pulling more people out at closing to help disperse the lines. That's just kind of what I want to see, that model in writing. I understand.
Yep, that has been done.
Okay.
And we owe you a report on that. I
Okay.
apologize. Additional staffing has been made with an eye towards specifically dealing with folks as they leave, trying to keep people quiet, moving people in certain directions to keep them away from the building for Uber pickup and the like. That part is for us the most difficult. But we think we have a solution working with the city in terms of saying, okay, we can force the Uber pickups to happen here if we get the appropriate, word from BTD, which we're working on. And we understand it. We're trying to push people away. We understand that, part of this building is an echo chamber. There's a courtyard, it's an interior courtyard. And, that's the way the building was built. And the building was built with commercial uses at that very level. And it's something we have to deal with, and we've hired additional people to do so, and we'll give you a report on that. But we have added security specifically for that purpose.
Thank you.
Commissioner Carn or Commissioner Saxon, any questions for the licensee or the petitioner at this time before we move to testimony?
I guess for Attorney Gaines, what are the two violations you were talking about? Are they something that was written up by the police that we have yet to adjudicate?
I'm told that one of them was in February 2025, and it was issued by Officer, I apologize, I don't know his title, Gallagher, I know his last name. And then I'm told there was another one on April 12th. I don't.
And are you aware of the facts or the nature of what was written as a violation?
Again, just from my notes from my client, they might be able to speak more to this, is that the first one in February was for patrons drinking in line and overcrowding. And the one on April 12th, I believe, was also for an overcrowding violation at 12:30 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, just for the record, the February violation had already been heard, adjudicated, and disposed of, and the licensee was issued a warning. The April incident has not yet been scheduled for a hearing before this board. It has not yet been adjudicated.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add to that, the licensee is unaware until this moment of the existence of the April 12th.
No, we are aware of it. We are aware to correct Dennis. And I
Okay.
think the hearing was just
I was
scheduled
unaware of
this
that.
morning from on June 3rd. And it was for overcrowding, not for noise. But we'll address that on June 3rd with the board.
Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions for the licensee or for the petitioners?
Yes, just yeah, sound is a very tricky thing to navigate, especially since I'm hearing that there's like a echo chamber with a courtyard. What has where the residents are, has there been a sound engineer, environmental acoustic engineer that has looked at that building, whether the windows are not thick enough, or not trying to, I'm just curious about whether that building has been examined at all.
Well, I guess it's all one building to some extent, that the board Cheeto's on the first floor and the residents are above it. There has not been someone who looked at acoustical engineer, but they did install, as I mentioned, decibel readers, I think at the fifth floor, back at the beginning of April, and during the month of April, there were many dates and times where the noise recorded on the fifth floor, particularly past 11 p.m., exceeded the 50 decibel city limit.
Yeah, and that decibel reading, has there been an engineer to figure out not just, yes, the sound is coming from from the licensee, but the way it bounces. I mean, there's so many, there's a lot of things that go into like raising a decibel level. So just making sure that there's not just a legal process, but there actually is a scientific process that you guys are taking.
Sure. Well, I think that's really incumbent upon the licensee, frankly, they're the ones that are causing the noise. They need to the ones to mitigate the noise and figure out how to do that.
I just want to make it clear that we've not been asked to go into anybody's unit. We were asked to look at the chamber, if you will, above us, which was the kind of amenity space, because everyone assumed that's what was going on. And we've done that. So we've taken steps at our level and within our walls and the space above us, this amenity center. We have no right to go into somebody else's unit, haven't been asked to. I think our job will be to do everything we can do at our level to insulate, and that's a continuing job. It's well underway, but it's a continuing job.
Yanni can speak to that.
And I guess
well.
I would respond to that by saying that those efforts obviously have not been productive, and clearly
They have been
more
productive.
needs to be done.
All right,
the readings are
guys.
still too high.
Please don't speak over each other. The commercial unit and the commercial unit owner, are they within the condo association that Attorney Gaines is representing, or have they been legally separated?
There's a sort of a master condo association, if you would. There's a master Seaport Condominium Association, and the commercial unit is a unit within that, as is the 133 building and the 135 building. Those 133 and 135 have their separate kind of sub-secondary associations. It's sort of a complex condominium structure that you see a lot in Boston for these kind of mixed-use buildings, but the commercial unit is technically in a separate condo association from residential buildings, if that makes sense.
If I may, I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead, Mr. Sippis.
Thank you very much, Attorney Green. As the owner, representing the owner of the commercial condominium unit within the Echelon complex, the Echelon complex is a single condominium complex. It has a single set of condominium documents, a master deed, a declaration of trust that governs the operations of the entire complex, all of the units within the complex. And so the rights of all of the unit owners, the commercial unit owners, the residential unit owners, are covered within those condominium documents. Those condo docs have dispute resolution procedures. Like there's a tremendous amount of specificity embodied within those documents. And
Are there any
we
are there any actions pending regarding the private dispute resolutions?
we are
So-
unaware of any, and frankly, Matt, I don't think we've ever heard from we as the commercial unit owner. I don't think we've ever even heard from you on behalf of your clients. So we would welcome that conversation. We believe this is a private matter by and between the Tower 2 primary residential unit, who all of the petitioners live in, with the exception of one, and the commercial unit owner. Would be happy to have the conversation. I do have one other comment about the decibel readers. Attorney Gaines, is it possible to discern from those decibel readers the difference between noise made by a patron of the Borrachito establishment from noise made by somebody walking on the street who, was not at Borrachito, from a truck passing by, from an airplane flying over? Is there any from noise within the building, from another condominium unit within the building having a party? Is there any way to discern the origin of the noise that you reference on the fifth floor of this building?
Well, the residents can speak to that because they could say, yes, at this time, I heard this noise. It wasn't a truck. It was people congregating outside Borrachito or music from Borrachito. So you kind of read those two together, right? You have the reading, then you have the residents who can say, yeah, at 2 a.m. on this date, it wasn't a truck. It was noise or music from Borrachito.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have 3 hands raised. Chairman Joyce, are we taking additional public testimony on this matter?
Sure, we'll take a couple minutes of public testimony. We'll limit it to what we normally limit public testimony to, Danny.
Great. So that'll be 2 minutes per individual. There are now 4 hands raised. First hand that I see raised is from Martin Guillet. You may unmute yourself and you'll have up to 2 minutes to provide any testimony for the board, beginning now.
Thank you very much. Martin Guillet. I'm a resident of 135 Seaport in the higher floors of the building. So I'll talk to the noise nuisance that we're dealing with as patrons are either entering or exiting Borrachito. I'll let other residents talk to the noise disturbance coming from the loud music. So a couple of things that I want to mention. Operating hours. I don't have to tell the board that there's a difference between the license and the operating hours. So Sabre, for example, didn't know they had a 2 a.m. close time, but they're closed at 11 p.m. So I want to make sure there's a distinction between operating hours and licenses. The continued effort by Borrachito, they've been engaged in the dialogue, but we've been at this for more than 6 months. And it doesn't matter what they do for the crowd control portion, it's still the same issues. They are putting more security, but it's definitely not helping. We're dealing with the same exact issue every Friday and Saturday consistently. We are woken up and at anywhere between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. And then as of last Tuesday this week, there was also the same disturbances of patrons screaming. It's not a function of how crowded Borrachito is. There could be 100 patrons, there could be 2 patrons. It only takes 2 to exit Borrachito and be screaming for us to be waking up. So I don't buy the argument that, oh, well, Tuesday was not busy and it can't be the Borrachito crowd. There's no other establishments that are open till 2 a.m. In the next to our building. There's, I think, the Grand and maybe the Seaport Social, but they're pretty far away. And to insinuate that it's the residents of the Echelon that are loud at 2 a.m. in the morning, screaming outside of our building, coming back from partying and so on and so forth, I think for me is ludicrous. And to try to deflect the issue, doesn't sit very well with me.
Mr. Guillet, you're just about at your 2 minutes. If there's a final point you would like to make for the board.
More recently, Borrachito has asked their security to push patrons away from over our building. It's just moving the problem. And the petition, by the way, it's only 27 because it was word of mouth. But as you see from a number of people on this call, there's a whole lot more people. And if we want more signature, I'm sure that a whole lot more people than 27 will be signing it. We just stopped there because we knew that we had reached the 25.
Thank you, Mr. Guillet. The next hand I see raised is from a PK. I'm going to ask you to unmute as well. You will have 2 minutes beginning now.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the time. I am a resident of Echelon. I've been here for the past 5.5 years since the doors opened. I live on a 12th floor, and I do hear loud music on a regular basis. Sound does flow. As you know, the entrance to Borrachito is in an alcove. It's enclosed. In addition to it being in an in a courtyard. So the location of the restaurant and bar is an issue. I frequent Barachito on a regular basis. I go there for both food and drinks. I enjoy there, and I want you guys to be successful. But I think there is quite a bit that you guys can do to be better, better community members. I have, as an example, on all the occasions I've been there, I have never been carded, not at the bar, not at the tables. I know there's no vaping or smoking permitted in the building. I've seen your patrons smoke and vape. Nothing's ever said by staff. I think you can do a lot more with staff training. Same thing with entrance to security. I've been there when it's packed and I've left. And I don't believe that you meet your obligations to limit guests and patrons. Again, I want you guys to be successful, but your hours are long. If we look at all the 5 owner-owned buildings in the Seaport, none of them are open to 2 o'clock. The latest one is 11 p.m. That has an 11 p.m. closing. Those are the owner-owned residences, and this goes for Yanni as well. And I encourage you to take a look at all the other owner-owned buildings. Again, we're not tenants, we're owners of this building. And I believe of the 6 condominiums, it's not 2 of the 6, I think it's 4. 2 of the 6 are resident towers, 2 are parking structures. So not correct to say it's only 2 of 6.
Sir, you are approaching your 2 minutes as well. If there's a final point you'd like to make for the board.
And I'm not one of those 25 who signed on. So I just want to give examples that I'm joining this to make sure that you get feedback from everyone. And I want you guys to be successful, but those hours are not acceptable.
Thank you very much. Move to Angelica Nuhi. Apologize if I mispronounced that. You will also have 2 minutes to provide your testimony for the board.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Angelica Nui. I work for Cottonwood Group, which is the parent entity for the developer of the Echelon project, as well as the owner of Tower 3 in the Echelon Seaport project, which is a multifamily residential building comprising 270 multifamily units for rent, the South Garage, as well as the Innovation Center. I just wanted to make a couple of clarifying points to what has been discussed up until this point and what has been said, but I believe it was Attorney Quilty. Starting with the petition, I believe it was mentioned that there are 717 units in the project, which is correct. However, that includes the 270 multifamily units, which have not been brought into this conversation up until this point. So the numbers of signatures that were collected do include 270 apartments that up until my participation in this were not involved in this conversation. The second point I would like to make, which I also believe was made by Attorney Quilty, is Borrachito and its owners did gain access to some of the areas in the project, specifically the Innovation Center, which again we own, and it's located on the second floor of Tower 2 at 135 Seaport. Access was requested from the Borrachito team to Barkin, which is the property management company for the 2 condominium towers, Tower 1 and Tower 2, without contacting the ownership group, us. At that point, Barkin reached out to us to make us aware of the situation and connected us with the Borrachito team. They reached out to us and requested to have someone who I believe was a sound engineer to access the innovation space and do a walk and inspection or something of that nature, which they were granted to do. So the representation that the tenant has not being able to access spaces outside of the commercial owner and their specific suite is factually incorrect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Nui, that is above your 2 minutes. Anything additional can be provided in writing to the board as well. I see a hand raised from a Mr. William Mach. You may also provide your testimony. You'll have 2 minutes to do so.
Hi, thanks. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. I appreciate it. So my name's Will Mach. I live
and own in Tower 1, which is 133 Seaport Boulevard. I've been here with my wife since March of 2020. We were excited for Borchito then to arrive, and we continue to remain happy with its service. So I'm on this call not as one of the 27 petitioners because I want to voice my support for the restaurant. We enjoy it. We like it, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be voicing the support. But our master bedroom is directly above the courtyard. And though I don't truthfully recall ever being awoken by a human, usually if I am, it's by planes or cars. I'm not naive to the fact that I bought a home that is directly located above the Superette, which is a public and communal space within the Seaport that can draw people or attract people from different parts of the neighborhood. At any point of the day, it doesn't close at night, and so it's certainly a tough situation for the institution and for the residents, and I understand both sides. If I was losing sleep, I would support whoever. Everybody deserves good sleep, and so I get it, but at the same time, like one of the individuals early in the call said, like, this is a mixed use building in a mixed use neighborhood, and we're kind of like our own little neighborhood in the sky almost. And I am happy with the restaurant, and I am happy with our accommodations and the living situation. I think all parties have really worked to kind of come together over the last couple months, so I appreciate it. That's all for me. Thanks for everybody's time.
Thank you very much. I see a Marty Galvin with a hand raised. There are two remaining hands. So Marty Galvin, you are next. You will have 2 minutes beginning now.
All right. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Marty Galvin. I have been a resident here at Echelon for 2 years. And similar to Will, I just wanted to voice my support for Borchito. I do feel that there's have heard from a lot of folks kind of on the opposition and completely empathize with the fact that, if there is noise, then that's something that should be addressed. And I do think, just from what I've heard that seemingly that they've taken steps to do so. So I just want to reiterate the sentiment that there is a lot of support from Echelon residents. And I do think it's just a smaller majority. Again, completely empathize with the fact that if it's loud, it's loud, and there needs to be steps taken. But I don't think Borchito is particularly noisy. I guess Seaport in general, as we all know, there's a certain buzz. I mean, it's the middle of a very exciting part of the city. So just wanted to chime in and say that the majority of residents, in my opinion, do support Borchito, and I do hope it's here for a long time. Thank you much.
Thank you very much. The last remaining hand I see is by Anna Carolina Costa. We will then close off public testimony. Any additional testimony can be submitted in writing to the board at licensingboard@boston.gov. Following Ms. Carolina Costa's testimony, we will see if there are any remaining questions from the board, and then both the petitioner and the licensee will have the opportunity to make any closing statements for the board. Anna Carolina Costa, you'll have 2 minutes starting now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Costa. I've lived here since April of 2023. These issues have started in October of 2023. So it's been quite some time. I'm on the 5th floor, so I don't have anyone living below me. We hear music a lot. I've had things up on my wall that have fallen down because of vibrations. We have addressed this with the building manager many times since October of 2023. Nothing has been resolved. We cannot sleep. This past Tuesday, we had issues. It was loud. There was a Celtics game. Maybe that was what you guys were celebrating. I don't know, but it was loud. And something really needs to be done. I go outside my door. I get harassed by Borchito patrons, sexually, explicitly harassed as a woman, getting called names. I don't think that's okay. I've lived in Boston for 10 years. I've lived in the Back Bay, the South End. I understand there's going to be noises. I'm a city person. There's planes, there's sirens, but music in my unit, that's not okay. We pay a lot of money to live here. It's just absolutely appalling. And this has been going on for a long time. Borchito has had a long time to fix things. And I have emails providing that, they can come into my unit. They should come into my unit at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to hear the music that's going on.
Excuse me, my hand was up. Can I have a moment to speak?
Sorry, yes, I did not see a hand raised, but sure, Chairman Joyce, can we take one more?
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to add quickly, I have heard about a resident being harassed by Borachito patron. And before Borachito says like, oh, well, that's not our patron, you can't say, they were actually walking out of Borachito and addressed her and harassed her. Also, the WS is saying that this noise, airplanes don't fly at 2 a.m. And no, we don't have a surplus of food delivery at 1 and 2 a.m. at the morning at our building. I think where residents are getting very frustrated is there's been a lot of deflection from Borachito. They have not been good at communicating us. I can show you all of the text messages where I've been bounced from Hope to Mackenzie to WS. I was told WS would reach out to me. They never did. I emailed them. They never got back to me. I'm sorry. I'm very frustrated. This has been 6 months of having no sleep every weekend. It is very, very frustrating. And as far as Gavin saying somebody videoing people and putting the camera in their faces is a complete lie, and I'd be happy to share you that video. That video was taken to show the level of noise, which on a decibel reader read up to 93.7. And that is a decibel reader that was recommended by Constable Gallagher. So these deflections that Borachito keeps doing is very, very infuriating, saying it's residents making the noise, it's food delivery. We have it on video. It is the Borachito patrons. And we're fed up and we're frustrated, and we're not going to stop until we get sleep. We're very, very frustrated. And the longer this goes, the angrier we get. And as far as the petition, that was by word of mouth, and a lot of people are on vacation or have secondary homes from this place. But now the list of Echelon residents is growing, and the longer this goes on, the angrier we become and the louder we're going to get. We've had enough, and we're tired of this deflection from Borachito and their lawyer. It's very frustrating.
Thank you, Maureen. With that is the end of public testimony. Are there any questions from the board following the testimony that we've just heard before we hear once again from the petitioners and the licensee?
I don't have any additional questions right now.
Commissioner Carter, Commissioner Saxon.
No questions. Thank you.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Gaines, are there any closing statements you would like to make on behalf of the petitioners in this matter?
Sure, thank you. I'll be brief. There are a lot of comments made about all the time and efforts and money that Borachito has been spent. That may be true, but the reality is it's not yielding any results at all. And, maybe soundproofing above works a little bit, but it's not going to control the overcrowding. And whether there's 600 or 60 residents that are upset, again, the reality is they're violating the city ordinances on the decibel level. And at the end of the day, there is one simple solution to this problem. Change the closing time for Borachito. If you move that up to 11 or 12, all of this, or pretty much all of this, goes away. And I think that really is what needs to be happening here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Attorney Quilty, if there are any final statements you'd like to make on behalf of the licensee.
Very briefly, when I suggested due process before, I simply meant to continue the work that we've been doing with the residents in terms of trying to figure out where the problems are and trying to resolve them. We think that it's been very meaningful and successful over the last many weeks, but it will have to continue, and more work will have to be done on our part to make sure that we're doing everything we can to cooperate. So thank you very much for hearing us today, and we look forward to continuing to work with the residents on these issues.
Thank you all for being with us this morning. That will adjourn this portion of the hearing, the informational hearing. Any additional testimony can be submitted to the board at licensingboard@boston.gov. The board will take this matter under advisement And as we move on to the voting agenda portion of this morning's hearing, there will be no additional public testimony accepted this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the voting hearing. We'll begin with the license premise inspection hearing, which occurred on Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Item number 1, Boston Ballroom Corporation doing business as Royale, located at 279 Tremont Street. Date of the incident, November 23rd, 2024. Assault and battery, a dangerous weapon, 2 counts. Performer on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. There we go.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Danny. Oh, you want me to?
Yeah, we're on the first item on the license premise inspection hearing.
Okay, thanks. Hold on.
Sure.
I got all this stuff.
This was the performer assault.
Correct.
Yes.
If I could jump in and give you a moment.
There we go.
I didn't think there was much foreseeability proven here, so I had a no violation in this one.
Yeah, I think it was a rogue performer. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as did I. I saw the video. It came out of nowhere.
Great. No violation on item 1. Thank you. Item number 2, Facility Concession Services LLC doing business as Spectrum, located at 89 Guest Street in Brighton. Date of the incident, December 1st, 2024. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, patron on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A.
I think for me, the question here, while we were waiting for additional information that was submitted, was whether or not this was like a foreseeable assault and battery. There definitely was a physical fight inside that was over very quickly. And I think the staff had an appropriate response to that. Then there was a very intense verbal argument outside. We received an affidavit from security that at the time of that verbal argument outside, he was doing his job. He was focused on the dispersal at the end of the evening. He saw the actual suspects. I'm sorry, he did not see anything with that verbal dispute that would lead him to believe that additional response was required. These are my notes. I guess, again, should the venue have done more? Was this stabbing across the street foreseeable? I wonder, the suspect was seen going into Roadrunner, but we don't know exactly when he left. We don't know what he did between leaving Roadrunner and then the stabbing occurring. I don't see that the staff could have done more here. So I don't see a violation.
I agree. After going through everything, I had a no violation. I did want to raise, kind of an issue that I might suggest we might want to docket. And it's something I've noticed. I mean, so this was a very serious matter, and I didn't feel like the presentation from the premises really showed the weight of that. Their reaction to really getting to the bottom of it, I found it was inadequate, especially, and this is what I might want to docket. And I see it as analogous to not bringing relevant video, which they did give us great video, and I commend them for that. But the not having that recipient witness show up, I found it to be problematic, and I would like to have it on the docket that they failed to bring in a vital recipient witness, because they were very specific that there was no way they could have foreseen the stabbing across the street. And I accept the affidavit, but I also don't want to state that it's in some senses it's inadequate. It would have been better to have that witness at the hearing where we could have seen them testify to what they're saying in their affidavit, and we could have asked questions of them. So I had a no violation. I didn't want to put any conduct that was just private across the street on them, but I think they relied too much on that it did happen across the street, and I think they were heavily relying that it happened across the street. And even if it was 10 minutes later, I think that there could have been a connection there, and I think that they showed a lack of seriousness in addressing that potential connection. So that's what I have.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I also found no violation, but I actually thought that the fight outside warranted someone calling the police. I don't, they called additional team members, but I would have made the call. I don't know whether that would have prevented something, the stabbing that happened across the street, but I would also uh, I would just recommend that they just make the call. He expressed that they were ignoring him, they were ignoring his commands to separate, that they were, in a heated argument, even though he didn't hear what they were saying. I just think that that is the time to just pick up the phone and call.
So should we docket this and suggest that they retrain the staff specifically about just appropriate dispersal procedures and de-escalation?
Yeah, disbursement, de-escalation, calling the police, doing a proper internal investigation afterwards.
Great. So this is something that the board would like to see a plan on, or that we are suggesting they retrain staff on. What would the board like? How would the board like to dispose of this?
Yeah, I would like something that we could add to their docket
Great.
sheet for reference moving forward.
So then the board will ask the licensee to retrain staff and present a plan in writing on dispersal, de-escalation, calling police, and investigatory procedures following an incident. And Commissioner Curran, you would also like it noted on the docket sheet that the licensee failed to present a witness with firsthand knowledge of the incident. That's correct as well.
I think that would be appropriate if it's okay with the other commissioners.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've talked about this, with other licensees, like people who have firsthand knowledge. That is what we are prioritizing.
That will be specifically docketed for this incident as well with a no violation. Item number 3, Big House Fine Dining LLC, doing business as Scampo and Alibi, located at 215 Charles Street. Date of the incident, December 1st, 2024. Assault and battery, dangerous weapon, patron on employee, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A, and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A.
I did not see a violation here.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 4, ATG Inc. doing business as Cleary's, located at 331 to 335 Columbus Ave. Date of the incident, December 1st, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A.
We did receive video of this large fight that happened outside of Cleary's. It's unclear whether the suspect in the fight was actually inside. I did not see a violation on the part of the licensee, but I do believe we should send them correspondence about this. I think they should have called the police earlier.
I agree.
Agree.
No violation. Correspondence from the board of duty to call police. Item number 5 will be continued to the next available hearing date. Item number 6, the Boston Leco Corp., located at 71 to 79 Warrenton Street. Date of the incident, January 10th, 2025. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. And assault and battery on police officer ×2, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13D.
I'd love to hear from the other commissioners as well. This was a really large fight that went on for a really long time, that spilled into the street, resulted in police officers getting hit and assaulted. The people involved in the fight were resisting arrest. There was no control over the situation. The licensee did attempt to, pull the women off of each other. There was attempts to de-escalate, but I'm not quite sure if there's anything more the bar could have done. I'm curious to hear from the other commissioners.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I'm in exactly the same thought process. I don't know what they could have done. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this might go to a larger issue about their dispersal and how they disperse, and how many people they're putting out onto the street all at the same time and stuff like that. I mean, these are issues we've kind of discussed with them in the past. So I don't know if we want to use this as an opportunity to talk about that or docket it. I don't know, but as far as the case that was presented to us, I didn't have anything particular or specific that said that the licensee did anything wrong.
I'm actually drawing a blank. What was the spark? Was there any, what was was there testimony that led us to believe that there could have been something that started all of this?
No, there wasn't. I think, I don't, there wasn't. I'm sorry, Commissioner, I don't mean to interrupt you. I think what Commissioner Curran was touching upon there, this area seems to have a reoccurring issue at dispersal, which is something that we are looking at even, broader than just this one incident at this one location. I think here we are again with a horrible fight on the street that resulted in a ton of police response. I think it might be, we might want to take a look at all of these licensees together and what happens at closing to see if there is like something bigger we can do to help them. The licensee did the right thing. He canceled the night, they called the police, they did their best, but it was like beyond their control. So I think I've mentioned this before in hearings. We really need to look at this general area and when things let out to see if there's something we can do to make sure people, these fights aren't happening in the middle of the street. So with that, I don't see a violation here, but I would like just to note that this falls in that area of the city that at night we're having issues with closing hours, and I don't necessarily think at first I thought maybe the issue was that we needed to have them close earlier. I don't think that's the issue. I think we've reached out to some of the other licensees too, and we should continue the conversation. They had some good ideas, and it might be something we should call these licensees in for, talk to them about it, and see if we can come up with something creative to make sure people get out of these clubs safely at night. It really is a strain on resources for both the licensees and Boston Police when repeatedly they're being called to disperse crowds and to stop fights.
Yeah, I mean, I second that 100%. I mean, they didn't do anything wrong under the rules and structure that's in place, but maybe we need to tweak the rules and structure and see if we can get a better result.
Yeah, I think we should take the next couple of weeks and put our heads together to see what we can come up with to help them.
I agree.
For the matter directly in front of the board, it sounds like this is a no violation across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to item number 7, MW&W Inc. doing business as China Pearl Restaurant located at 5 to 9A Tyler Street. Date of the incident, March 22nd, 2025. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, gunshot, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. Failure to call police in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.14b. Failure to cooperate with police, door locked, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.10a and b, and entertainment taking place after the posted 2 a.m. close.
I want to wait till we get the police body cameras because I think it will refute some of the statements made by their attorney. I don't have a lot that a lot of outstanding questions, but I do want to see the police footage that we get, the camera footage. So I'd like to defer.
Yeah, willing to defer. Yeah.
This will be deferred to allow the board to receive and review police body camera footage. Item number 8, DD West Broadway Boston LLC doing business as Dumpling Daughter Inc. located at 475 West Broadway in South Boston. Date of the incident, March 7th, 2025. Premise open past posted closing hour. DoorDash and the website post a 2:45 to 3 a.m. close, which is later than their posted 1 a.m. close on weekends, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 140, Section 9.
I vote for violation.
Yeah, they admitted to it.
Yes.
So this would just be a first warning?
Violation with a first warning. Moving on to the transactional hearing, which occurred yesterday, Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. Item number 1, Nubian Nutrition LLC, doing business as Pure Green Boston, located at 1135 Harrison Ave in Roxbury, has applied for a common victular license. Manager Carla Gomes, hours of operation, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 2, King's Tea House FS LLC, doing business as Chicha San Chen, located at 1001 Boylston Street, has applied for a common victular license. Manager Natanai Arnold Tangthong, hours of operation, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I vote to approve the license, but I do want them to continue with the community process.
I agree.
I agree.
License is granted, and the board asks the licensee to continue the community process. Item 3, Eddie Merlot's LLC, doing business at Sullivan Steakhouse, located at 505 Congress Street, has petitioned to change the DBA to Eddie Merlot's.
I vote to approve the change.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 4, Putt Shack Boston Seaport LLC, doing business as Putt Shack, located at 58 Pier 4 Boulevard, has petitioned to change the manager to Evan Myers.
I vote to approve Mr. Myers as manager of record. I believe he has the appropriate character and fitness to serve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 5, Ale and JC Brothers Inc., doing business as Yumega Arukara, located at 70 Pier 4 Boulevard, has petitioned to change the manager to Wilson Giovanni Garcia.
I vote to approve Mr. Garcia as manager of record. I believe he has the appropriate character and fitness to serve.
I agree.
I agree.
Items 6, 7, and 8, Massachusetts Sports Service Inc., doing business as TD Garden, as Legends, and as Viva Victory Den, all at 100 Legends Way, has petitioned to change the manager of all 3 licensed businesses to Amanda Ruth Slattery.
I vote to approve Ms. Slattery as a manager of record. I believe she has the appropriate character and fitness.
I agree.
Agree.
Item 9, Backstreet Boston Lessee LLC, doing business as Pennyweight Hotel, located at 155 Portland Street, has petitioned to change the manager to Mary Johanna Miles.
I vote to approve Ms. Miles as manager of record. I believe she has the appropriate character and fitness.
I agree.
Agree.
Item 10, Hilton Management LLC, doing business as Hilton Boston Logan Airport, located at 1 Hotel Drive in East Boston, has petitioned for a change of officers, directors, LLC managers.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 11, Aimbridge Hospitality LLC, doing business as Embassy Suites Hotel, located at 207 Porter Street in East Boston, has petitioned for a change of officers, directors, LLC managers.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 12, Bucciolati LLC, doing business as Mama Maria, located at 3 North Square, has petitioned to amend the description of the licensed business to 3,472 square feet, 4 floors to be licensed, consisting of first floor with 3 rooms, 2 dining areas, service bar and kitchen, bathroom and common area, second floor with 4 rooms, 4 dining areas and service bar, bathrooms and common areas, third floor with 5 rooms, bar waiting area, administrative, prep space, storage, and liquor storage, bathroom and common areas, and basement with 3 rooms, kitchen, service area, and storage, and bathroom. Premises include 1 entrance and exit from North Square, 1 entrance and exit on Garden Court Street that is handicapped accessible, and 1 side exit for emergencies and stock on Garden Court Street. Seating capacity of 35 on the first floor, 49 on the second floor, and 15 on the third floor. Mama Maria is a long-standing Italian restaurant located in a 19th century row house in the north end. The applicant has also petitioned for a change of ownership interest.
I vote to approve the changes requested.
I agree.
I agree.
Items 13 and 14 were not heard and will be continued to the May 14th transactional hearing. Item 15, Strip by Strega LLC, located at 50 Park Plaza, has petitioned to transfer the license to BPP Retail LL LLC at the same location. Jonathan Krellin, manager, 2 a.m. closing hour.
I vote to approve Mr. Krellin as manager of record. I believe he has the appropriate character and fitness to serve. I vote to approve the transfer. And that's it.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 16, Number 9 Park LLC, doing business as Number 9 Park, located at 9 Park Street, has petitioned to transfer the license to 9 Restaurant Group LLC, doing business as 9 at the same location. Bertilda Grochowski, manager, 1 a.m. closing hour, and has also petitioned to pledge the license to 9 PSR LLC.
I vote to approve the transfer. I vote to approve Mr. Grochowski as manager of record. And I also vote to approve the pledge.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 17 will also be continued to the May 14th transactional hearing. Item 18, the Neiman Marcus Group LLC, doing business as Neiman Marcus, located at 5 Copley Place, has petitioned to transfer the license and the location to LTF Club Operations Company, Inc., doing business as Lifetime, located at 800 Boylston Street, space 179, within the Prudential Center. Kyle Hollander, manager, 12 a.m. closing hour. The applicant has also petitioned to change the license type to a Section 12 restaurant.
I vote to approve the transfer, the change of category, and I vote to approve the manager of record. I believe he has appropriate character and fitness to serve.
I agree.
Agree.
Item 19, Distraction Brewing Company LLC, located at 2 Belgrade Ave in Roslindale, has petitioned to transfer the license to Emergency Exit Brewing LLC, doing business as Distraction Brewing Company at the same location. John Graham, manager, 11 p.m. closing hour.
I vote to approve the changes requested and Mr. Graham is manager of record.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 20, A&G Liquor Store LLC, located at 170 South Street in Jamaica Plain, has applied for a retail package store all alcoholic beverages license. Manager Alexander Jean Michel. Closing time 11 p.m. There was a request from the neighborhood for a 9 p.m. closing hour, which the applicant did agree to during the hearing.
The applicant also agreed not to sell nips and singles and to have an ID checker on site, as well as to keep their floor plan on site. So I vote to approve Mr. Jean Michel as manager of record and to approve the license with the conditions that were discussed.
I agree.
I agree.
And the conditions, just so I have them being no nips, no singles, no increase to the floor space dedicated to alcohol without board approval, and floor plan must be on site at all times.
And the ID checker.
Got it. Great, but that the licensee must have an ID scanner on premise.
I'm sorry. This was a dedicated liquor store,
You're
right?
right. It's not food. Yeah.
So it's not the floor plan one. I think that's the next.
Oh,
Yeah,
you are correct.
This is a brand new place going into a previously.
Yeah, the whole place is going to be a liquor store, right?
You are correct. So
Okay.
conditions are just no nips, no singles, and licensee must have an ID checker or ID scanner on premise.
Yes.
Great. And the board is approving a 9 p.m. or 11 p.m. close.
And the 9 p.m. close. I know they wanted later at first, but they're responding to the needs of the neighborhood. Should the neighborhood and the licensee agree to expanding those hours, they can come back.
Approved with a 9 p.m. close and the no nips, no singles and ID scanner conditions. Item number 21, Angori Inc., doing business as Alston Market, located at 169 Harvard Ave in Alston, has applied for a retail package store, all alcoholic beverages license. Manager Anju Rana. Closing time 10 p.m.
I vote to approve Ms. Rana as manager of record. I believe she has the character and fitness to serve. This is the one where they are going to remove 2 shelves in the back of the market and use those to sell the for their alcohol sales. So I would like to put on the face of the license the conditions that they don't sell nips and singles. I would like them to use an ID scanner and to keep a floor plan on site for inspection I think that covers it.
I think it does too. I agree across the board.
I agree.
Approved with the conditions just discussed, no nips, no singles, ID scanner, no increase to the floor space dedicated to alcohol without board approval, and floor plan must be on site at all times. The remaining items are all new on-premise license applications. Chairman Joyce, are we deliberating on these, or would you like to hold until after the May 23rd application deadline?
I would like to hold them till after the May 23rd deadline.
Items 22 through 28 will be deferred until after all applications heard, until applications submitted by May 23rd have been heard. The board held an informational hearing this morning, Thursday, May 1st, 2025, regarding Densinco LLC, doing business as Borrachito the Garrett Boston, located at 70 Pier 4 Boulevard, regarding the operational procedures, including noise mitigation, hours of operation, and crowd control, upon receipt of a resident's petition pursuant to the board's rule 1.19b and Mass General Laws, chapters 138, sections 23 and 64. I don't know if the board has any comments or would like to take any action following the informational hearing.
I'd like to defer it for 45 to 60 days, give them an opportunity to work through some of the sound mitigation. I will probably go out and do a site visit, but I'd like to defer it for now.
Deferral sounds good.
Agreed.
No action taken today. Deliberation will be deferred. Moving on to non-hearing transactions, the following are applying for a new common victular location at a previously licensed location, not new common victular license at a previously licensed location. Item 1, Soul Taste Inc., doing business as Corianos, located at 172 Brighton Ave in Alston. Manager Alicia Kai, hours of operation 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 2, 22 Beacon Coffee LLC, doing business as Bon, located at 22 Beacon Street. Manager Zayad El Sharif, hours of operation 5 a.m. to 11 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
Item 3, CFH 35 Cambridge Park Drive LLC, doing business as Drip by Craft Food Halls, located at 2 Dry Dock Ave. Manager Shaylin McGrory, hours of operation 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
Agree.
Item 4, Viva Burrito Boston Inc., doing business as Viva Burrito, located at 92 Peterborough Street. Manager Ali Toki, hours of operation 10:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
Agree.
Item number 5, Mission Hill Donuts LLC, doing business as Dunkin', located at 1621 to 1631 Blue Hill Ave in Mattapan. Manager Gio Barbosa, hours of operation 5 a.m. to 7 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
And item number 6, SPD Hospitality LLC, doing business as Wishing Cup, located at 45 Court Street. Manager Sai Sri Sagi, hours of operation 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Following have applied to make changes to their existing common victular licenses. Item number 1, Chipotle Mexican Grill of Colorado LLC, doing business as Chipotle Mexican Grill number 2622 at 8 Park Plaza, has petitioned to change the Officers Directors LLC managers to Helen Kaminsky as LLC manager.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 2, DD West Broadway Boston LLC, doing business as Dumpling Daughter Inc., located at 475 West Broadway, South Boston, has petitioned to change the operating hours of the business to 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. 7 days a week. Currently, they're only open till 1 a.m. Thursday through Sunday.
I vote to approve.
I do as well.
I agree.
Following have applied to make changes to their existing lodging house licenses. Items 1, 2, and 3, Arch Development Limited Partnership, located at 1053 to 1055 Tremont Street, 1035 to 1039 Tremont Street, and 1049 to 1051 Tremont Street, have petitioned to change the manager of all 3 to Clifford Boyle.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
Following have applied for a 1-day amendment to their existing licenses. Item 1, Braymore Lounge Inc., doing business as Cornwalls, located at 642 to 648 Beacon Street, has applied to extend their license to the event space on their roof for a retirement party on May 9th from 4 to 9 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
Item 2, 61 Brookline Restaurant LLC, doing business as Loco Taqueria and Oyster Bar located at 61 Brookline Ave, has petitioned to extend their closing hour by 1 hour to 2 a.m. For a private reservation on May 10th.
Vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 3, Rail Stop LLC, located at 94 to 160 Guest Street in Brighton, has petitioned to extend their license onto the area directly in front of the restaurant with a satellite bar for a summer series event on May 22nd, June 5th, June 26th, July 24th, August 1st, and September 6th from 3 to 11 p.m., and on June 7th and September 20th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 4, American Craft Brewery LLC, doing business as the Boston Beer Company at 30 Germania Street in Jamaica Plain, has applied to extend their operating hours for a mini music festival on Boston Calling Weekend on May 22nd from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
Item 5, same licensee, American Craft Brewery LLC, doing business as Boston Beer Company at 30 Germania Street in Jamaica Plain, has applied to extend their operating hours for the annual Sam Adams Oktoberfest on September 26th from 5 to 11 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
And item 6, AHF Speedway Holdings LLC, doing business as the Charles River Speedway at 1420 to 1440 Soldiers Field Road in Brighton, has applied to extend their license onto their patio for a patio extension for the month of May, May 1st to May 23rd, and May 26th to May 31st from 12 to 11 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
The board has before them a list of applications for special one-day alcoholic beverages licenses, which have been administratively reviewed by staff for approval by the board. And there is one item on old and new business for acknowledgement. The board has received notification from the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department that it has seized and will be selling at auction the liquor license of Adventure Investments Boston LLC, doing business as Fire and Ice at 31 St. James Ave, in furtherance of an execution on money judgment issued against the licensee for $33,429 on May 6, 2024. With that, those are all the items before the board this morning. That will adjourn this hearing. Thank you all, and please do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.